DM Live TV, your number one digital channel for business, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Welcome to today's episode on DM Live TV. In today's episode, you are going to interface with an entrepreneur, but also someone who has supported startups. So pay close attention as he takes us through the key things that you need as a startup entrepreneur to be able to build your business and scale it adequately and even to the point of getting finance. Keep it locked on DM Live TV. You can follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and share, and also leave a comment, which we would most certainly appreciate. Welcome to DM Live TV, your number one show for entrepreneurship, business, and innovation. Today, we are blessed to have a great person in our midst, and that's none other than Mr. Roy, who will be introducing himself shortly and telling us about himself and the wonderful organization called Imuka that he runs. So welcome. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Tom.
Well, it's good to have you here. Finally. We've discussed having you on the show since last year, but then that had not been a possibility until today. So we are happy to have you here. And so maybe you can just start by telling us and our viewers who Roy Masiga is. And then we can get into the intricacies of Imuka Access.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tom. My name's Roy Masiga Gakuo, and currently leading Imuka Access. Roy is, in simple terms, is blessed to be a problem solver and very passionate and ensuring transformation of businesses from running in a limited way to a scaled up way where they can have the necessary impact, but they can also unleash the potential that they have here.
Yeah. So Roy, you are a Kenyan native.
Yes.
How do you come to Uganda and set up and really assimilate? Well, I would not just call you. You are a native of Kenya, but you're an East African, a proper East African, who has built his roots here now.
I would actually say I'm African,
yeah.
And we usually do not determine where our journey.
Yeah.
We can determine our destination,
yes,
but where we start from varies depending on the opportunity and the circumstances.
Yeah.
So I must say I've been blessed. Was blessed to have an opportunity for education in Uganda.
Okay.
And from the education, various opportunities came about of either innovating or solving various challenges. I've had the opportunity to work in various projects or programs that through it we were able to see various gaps, and that created an opportunity for me to start off towards solving a problem that is not only African but a problem that I see in developing countries, and probably that forms the backbone of where Imuka is trying to. Yes.
Yeah, so let's maybe a little bit, so at what point do you recognize or identify this specific problem that then becomes the fuel or the bedrock with which you now decide to build this platform?
All right. So as I said, I've had a great opportunity. So I had this desire that after education, I would not go on a job. I would actually start something on my own. And that was the case. Ever since I was young, I used to do different things to actually make money, from during vacations, I would do casual jobs. So I learned a lot about the ethics of work, and even in campus, I was doing evenings so that during the day I make some money. So during campus, we actually had an innovation that stood out in an inter-university competition in Africa. And that's where I first interfaced with investors. And I realized we actually eventually didn't take the investment, which would actually create a different dimension of financial access to students. And through it, I got to learn that one of our biggest challenges is the mindset and perception. We are sort of limited by our, should I say, selfish and not selfless approach towards ensuring that our businesses grow. And through it, I realized not only did I have this as a challenge, but I noticed it's a challenge that was paramount in many entrepreneurs and business owners. And it formed the bulk of how we wanted to go about solving the problem.
Okay, just before we go over, you said you guys, when you said you guys, I believe you and the team of friends at that point in the university won an inter-university challenge. Can you tell us about what exactly you did that won you that inter-university challenge?
So by then, as you rightly put it, I'm a native of Kenya, and in campus, most students used to receive fees, and by then we didn't have mobile money. And most students were receiving fees.
I think now that gives you an idea how old Roy is.
Envelopes. And we used to have long lines in Akamba bus, Scandinavia, Tanzanian students, Kenyan students.
Waiting for their parcel.
Waiting for their parcel of pocket money. And then at that point is when Safaricom had just innovated the M-Pesa. And in the process, a friend discovered that we could actually be able to transact and enable students access. And that formed the basis of us establishing I actually had a lot of disposable cash, so I actually invested. And the business grew from a seed of 300 to about 6 million in just about a year or so.
Wait, 300,000?
300,000,
shillings.
Yes.
And in a year, you guys had made 6 million.
Over 6 million. It was because we were giving just beyond access. We discovered students had the need to actually buy nice, fancy gadgets. So we were actually in the process of creating a sort of a student micro bank, which had really picked up. And we had even secured some branches. In some cases, we had actually even found unfinished buildings and completed. We got investors, but at the last minute, the engagement did not go through. But I must say, it's that journey of getting to know how to which was
done. The excitement behind
the excitement behind that. But also, I got to learn we have what we call an ownership syndrome. It's I think in the African culture.
It's mine.
It's that mine thing.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest impediments of African entrepreneurs achieving their growth potential. And I think that's the first time I encountered it and realized, it's one of the delimiting factors. And it was just one of the bases. Fortunately, also during that time, I was also blessed also to go through. BBC had an East African competition called FIDIC and BBC, and I represented Uganda in Mombasa, Kenya. And I also got to learn that's when aspects of pitching, convincing investors, and I think during those times I had an experience that allowed me to see a lot. Then also had shortfalls and challenges where I got an opportunity eventually to work with Mara Foundation. Uganda, it had a very strong mentorship program, and through it I was able to work with entrepreneurs hands-on, and I also was able to see some of the challenges I had, but also was able to interface some of the best practices through it, I got to learn and realize that I was actually, initially I wanted to be the entrepreneur, but I realized I was, I think God blessed me with something where you can be able to help an entrepreneur see a different light and actually achieve. We were able to help the few first entrepreneurs get 5,000 competitive programs.
This was under Mara Foundation.
While I was, I would be called in other programs, so come and help these entrepreneurs. So during that, I was also privileged to work with refugees, disabled, people who don't even know English. And through it, we were able to discover various ways in which we could pass the business knowledge and skill set, not just as a by the way, but where they embrace it. And through it, I've been sort of learning, but also trying to see how best now can we help entrepreneurs access the necessary knowledge, information, and skill set that will allow them actually achieve their growth potential. It's very interesting towards the end, as eventually I left Mara because I noticed the gap was so much on access to finance and scaling, just beyond sustaining the business. I realized my niche and passion, but also where I was seeing a lot of the results was where I was helping entrepreneurs sort of become bankable through the process, and I would see some great milestones. So that was the basis of me starting up Imuka. Eventually, we were Imuka Ventures. Joined with a number of co-founders. And initially, the idea was to have a fund and help entrepreneurs access these funds, because the thought was the funds are not there. But in the process of running Imuka Ventures, we just realized that there is a lot of funding locally and internationally. But also we had the challenge creating the fund, but at the same time we had so many people who had the funds. We realized, okay, why don't we actually help the entrepreneurs access these funds? Because there was a huge disparity between the funders, the financiers, and the entrepreneurs who needed the funds. There was a big gap. So many entrepreneurs inside there, so many funds, but they could not speak
the same language.
There was no alignment. Everybody was looking at it from their own perspective, and we thought, okay, we need to bridge this gap. We need to create an avenue that we can help entrepreneurs, and that's we were also privileged to work with a European university called Okoni. It was working on an African social entrepreneurship innovation program that was trying to discover how can you help entrepreneurs innovate within the ecosystem. We were humbled by the opportunity to be the coordinators in East Africa, and then eventually we sourced other partners in Africa. That opportunity also allowed us to take some entrepreneurs to Europe, where we also go to learn the European startup ecosystem. And it's just amazing how you see the disparity here. Somebody would prefer to struggle for 10 years to scale his business from, say, Kamocha to Central region, or at best case, Uganda, while somebody there would take about 6 months to a year to scale from, say, Italy to Europe, Asia, and you say, okay, what's happening here? Is it? And we realized that there's a huge disparity, but also the culture, the ownership syndrome, which we have groomed, has denied us the opportunity to actually see the potential that we have, not only just as a business, but as I noticed it's an
so the whole collaboration thing is hard here.
Is hard. It's a mindset thing. It's also obviously it emanates from the culture. You would find if you look at, say, the Indian community, he would love to help his brother. When a brother opens the shop, he may say, go to that shop. So they would refer, they would support, they would sort of buy together. Here you would probably say, don't go to Tom's shop.
And it's very painful, actually. But and you're right. This whole ownership syndrome. But then I also don't understand why we can't see that is hurting businesses across the board. Because you see, if Roy is doing well and I am supporting Roy, then it means Roy is able to support his family and other people that are depending on Roy for a living. But also the fact that Roy has something that I don't have and I have something that Roy doesn't have, we could actually collaborate and build something great that potentially could be a world changer. But now, Roy, just take us a little bit back. At which year, at what point do you start Imuka?
So as I said, Imuka was birthed, and the idea was birthed in 2014, but we established in 2016. At that point is when we started the operations in terms of supporting entrepreneurs, and I must say, by the grace of God, we were blessed to see a lot of very positive results from entrepreneurs. Some working from their kitchens. Currently, they actually have their own factories or facilities. Recently, one of the startups we were supporting just raised a pre-seed and grew very fast.
A pre-seed of how much?
Yes, and we actually, I wouldn't say it's luck, but yes, there is work behind it. But I would say there has been some level of transformation, and we're now looking at scaling the process so that we can impact more. Because we believe when we do that, imagine seeing one entrepreneur who had maybe 5 employees now having 50 employees. So what if you could be able to support many others? So
we do the same.
As Imuka, that is the bulk. We want to help them see a different possibility of what they currently are and help them through the journey. It's a big transformation, especially from the mind side.
The mindset side.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know I've seen a lot of Imuka work over the last couple of years, and I think you guys are working on something major, the Pitch Fest. So you've had 2 editions so far, if memory serves me right, which I've also been privileged to be a part of. And I know that something bigger is coming in the pipeline. Perhaps you could tell us about Pitch Fest, what informed the pathway to go down, the Pitch Fest path, and then also maybe share, what you're doing currently as Imuka.
All right, so just to bring it a little bit back, yes, in Imuka we started the journey of helping and building entrepreneurs' capability and capacity to actually access and absorb. And there's the accessing, but you may not have the capacity
to absorb.
Yes. And we realized there was something interesting in the process. We had not done, say, a lot of advertisements, but those who were able to connect with us would see entrepreneurs traveling as far as Arua, coming to Kampala, from as far as Kasese, as far as Ginger, just to access the services and realize, okay, the question we asked ourselves is, if this person is coming from there, obviously he has the ability or capacity. What about how many of him are where he comes from?
Yes.
And that was the motivation behind forming the Pitch Fest, which is not an event but a program, which we developed to enable entrepreneurs who are not accessing the necessary opportunity and support to actually be able to get that opportunity to access business development support, information, and finance to actually scale. And we realized, yes, Kampala has quite a number of programs, but there are so many outside
of Kampala.
Yeah, so through the years, We've been developing, so we started in 2020 when COVID really hit so many businesses, and that was the first event. There was an event, but as I said, it's a program. And then through it, we innovated or refined it further, did regional editions in 2021. With the recommendations, obviously, at the end of the day, we are serving the entrepreneur, and we have to listen to the entrepreneur in terms of how can we make it even better for them and tailored for them. Yeah. So one of the things we realized, as much as we were doing a lot of capacity building, document support, many entrepreneurs requested for a more hands-on and physical presence, but also hand-holding in the process, which would allow them, because you would find, some of them, we actually had, you would find actually in Pitfest, we have an average connection rate of 70% of all entrepreneurs that come through the program. So it's very positive, but you would find when it comes to now closing, because the program ends with connecting.
Yes.
So on closing, the percentage goes a little lower, to about 30%.
Yes.
And we asked ourselves, what was the problem? You find one, the entrepreneurs needed more in terms of additional hand holding.
So basically, after the connection has been made, they also need the extra support to help with the closing.
Yes, the post, should I say, the post program support, tracer, to help them fulfill, but also implement right. We actually realized that initially you would find the challenge is access, but also the use of funds. And that was also one of the things that also we found from investors. Some entrepreneurs divert
the funds.
Some do not appreciate that when you're scaling, you'll always need funds. So they become a bit dishonest and don't appreciate that. So these are things that, as we pursued, we now realized, okay, we need to do a little bit more. Also help the investors and financiers in the process to build the mindset, the right mindset, and also nub out those that we may not recommend. So we work with entrepreneurs where we can easily say, what, we recommend this entrepreneur because we worked with him,
we've walked the journey.
We've walked with them, and we are confident on where they are going. So that has pushed us into innovating further this year, but also, as a business, you're also looking at sustainability. So look at a program that is looking at an inclusive access of support and finance to entrepreneurs who are less privileged to access that opportunity. So that involved us refining the model, and we have from feedback from entrepreneurs and investors. We are excited about how 2022 is going to go, because already we are in the testing, and we see there is both need and there's a great opportunity to actually serve them sustainably.
Awesome. So I have two questions for you. Right?
Yes.
Question one is Imuka hub? So that, because we've talked a lot about entrepreneurs, going through programs, and so is Imuka Access a hub, and what differentiation or how different is it from, if it's a hub, from other hubs that are around? What's that unique thing about Imuka that makes it different from all the other hubs that are there? And then is Pitchfest a post-COVID strategy, or are there things that you've done, this to make sure that post-COVID, because as of last night, I believe now we're fully open, because borders were allowed to, roam freely, both during the day and at night. So basically, there's no curfew. So we can say that our economy is open. What does that mean for Imuka Access, and what's the plan?
All right. So to start on to the first question, Imuka Access. Well, I would say it's hub of sorts, but we look at it as a technology-driven social enterprise that seeks or that facilitates access to business development support, information, business growth opportunities, and finance for businesses to scale. In our 3-year plan, which ends in 2023, we expect to have supported at least 500 enterprises and helped scale at least 250 businesses. And that can only happen when we have a model that allows both hands-on support, but also scaled, where our expertise is translated from the local support. And that is what Imuka's model is fashioned. Now, how different are we? One, our model's DNA is collaborative. So we are very collaborative and synergize. So our model is we standardize our processes and work with local anchor partners so that we can still sustain and ensure that the entrepreneurs access the necessary support. And also they are in different levels, so it allows us to still coordinate and support both local capacity, but also the expertise, to utilize expertise optimum. The other thing that differentiates Imuka is we have a shared ambition. When an entrepreneur comes to work with us, we share the vision of where they are trying to go. Okay, we make use of technology. It's in the process of refinement, but we believe once we align it, we should be able to support over 1 million entrepreneurs in African developing countries. We also make use of local experts. We believe in local resources, and we believe that you cannot build a ladder without those holding it. So we don't expect an entrepreneur to just go without local. We believe in that. There's an African proverb: a child is raised by the community. So village. We are very keen to build that village. If whichever schools you went, nursery, primary, secondary, all the teachers will say Tom was our student.
Yes, that's true.
We've always found initially the ecosystem you find have said this is our entrepreneur.
Yes.
Does that mean doesn't belong elsewhere? Who support? So we are keen more on
being
let us help this entrepreneur get to where.
Rather
and you'll
than
notice and you'll notice, just like in football, you may be talented in your village, but when you go to say the Premier League,
you find it's
a totally different game, and you need another kind of support.
Yes.
Then when you go maybe to the Champions League,
It's
so we also look at it in that level. We can support entrepreneurs to a certain level, and we've seen our level is early stage to seed level, and at that point they have sort of the necessary infrastructure to attract the next levels of
and then go
financing. The other thing about our program is an entrepreneur can be supported for as long as he wishes, because it's milestone based. Once you achieve one milestone, you can go to another.
The next one.
So it's not sort of like it embraces a bit of attributes of incubation and acceleration, but it's looking at for as long as you need us, we're there for you. And then convenience, because of the technology, the information. If Tom has an opportunity for entrepreneurs, I'll share.
He'll share,
If so, the different hubs. To us, at the end of the day, it's the entrepreneur. It's not about us, because
you see that this is what we were just talking about before. You're really getting rid of the whole ownership syndrome. You know, this is my entrepreneur. No, the point is, can this entrepreneur be helped?
Exactly.
Be equipped, and then
because at the end of the day, we shall all pride in
the success of
success. And we've seen various collaborations where we've had a few entrepreneurs actually access funding, financing, different sets, depending on what strength is in the ecosystem, and even the different programs. And I think that is something that we would like to still continue pushing.
Now, as a social enterprise, I mean, what you're doing is amazing, okay? But I have another question. which I've been pondering on.
Yes.
How do you make money? Because we talked about sustainability earlier, and then running a social enterprise requires money to be able to, stay up and running. And yeah, I do know that the entrepreneurs do pay some money, but is it sustainable? Is it enough? What are you doing as Imuka Access to stay afloat and also grow? Because you see, if you're going to help the entrepreneur get millions of dollars and come from their kitchen and turn into a factory, what does that mean for you as Imuka Access? Yeah.
All right. So Imuka has been on a journey of refining. Interestingly, as we support early stage businesses, we've also been looking within.
Yes.
You will agree that it's very for a doctor to treat himself. It takes a lot of guts
and a certain expertise
and a certain level of reality check.
Yeah.
And we've been on that journey. As I mentioned, yes, we initiated PitchFest program as an avenue to ensure entrepreneurs who are marginalized or who have limited access to actually access the opportunities.
Yes.
But in the process, we got to realize a few interesting things. One, the aspect of sustainability. You cannot define or come up with sustainability if you don't understand the costings. Through the initial programs, we were able to assess the costings. Fortunately, during COVID, we were doing a lot of virtual support, which was limited, but we were also able to test the pricing aspects. And we also had a number of partnerships that we were looking at. We did, as I said, we've now gone further and refined it. One, aligning the need, the costing aspect, and also aligning the pricing. And what we've been able to do is, one, the entrepreneurs are able, as I said, our model is milestone based. Yes, so you can move based on the milestone, and we're also deliverable based. So you can easily judge based on this milestone how far. So that allows us to cost, but also be accountable to the entrepreneur. And that is something that helps us in the journey. So we are able to align both within and our anchor partners on ground to be able to actually ensure that the deliverables are met. And that sort of forms the bulk of our model. Whichever program now we push, we have a lot of insights in terms of how to align the cost. So our model has the entrepreneur pay in the support and the success fee, depending on the milestone that we deliver. So that basically is the Imuka model, and as I'm proud to say that also because of the fact that the program has supported entrepreneurs who have different networks, we've also had the humble opportunity to support organizations, run a number of entrepreneurial programs, and in different initiatives, and we've seen great results where the entrepreneurs still come back or recommend other entrepreneurs. So you will notice we have the program and sort of the personalized model. So in both models, it allows us to sort of
make some money.
To make some money. What we've tried to avoid is being dependent on external support. We are not saying we don't want, but we also don't want to be defined by a program that, okay, this is what you need to do. Wanted to define our path. And then if we align with any mutual programs, then that allows us, because at the end we feel there's a big gap, especially in Africa and developing countries, with regards to achieving their growth potential.
Right. Well, that's super awesome. I like the way you have broken it down, and clearly you're a sustainable business. Now, you could tell us what 2022 is packed with in terms of PitchFest. What should people expect in 2022 regarding PitchFest?
All right, so 2022 is going to be composed of, we have what we call business retreats and business boot camps that we shall do regionally, and also we want to blend a bit of both where we allow an entrepreneur to have focus on his business, but it also allows us to transform, but also involve the peer-to-peer concept within it. And what we envisage is anybody who comes through the program will be transformed, but they will have a lot of deliverables that they can easily attest to. It is very interesting that we've worked with some of the biggest entrepreneurs who have been in some of the highly visible either projects or programs in the country, or some of them are international. But when you look at, say, the documentation, most of them you may find either they don't understand, or they cannot articulate what they need. And so we found our niche, our strong niche is the deliverables. We help entrepreneurs understand and articulate where they're trying to go and the right strategies to help them get there, and they can easily justify their need of funds to the financials. They will also understand the structure of finance that is suitable for them. Because at the end of the day, helping an entrepreneur access finance is not enough without him understanding what kind of finance, the structure, how his business model or financial model, so that they are able to know, and utilize the funds as they should be, as in line with where they're trying to go as an organization. So our niche as Imuka Access is the same way, the way our name sounds is, when you come, we want, when an entrepreneur comes, his world opens up. We help him see what is possible, what his idea can be able to churn out. And our desire as Imuka is to unleash the next unicorns from African developing countries. And that journey starts by you helping them see the possibilities, help them structure, strategize, document, where they are able to articulate their businesses. They are able to understand which kind of finance, how can they utilize, how they can they be able to achieve their goals. So that seems to be the unique niche of Imuka, and you may notice we've not done so much, I should say, advertising. But we are keen to now do a bit of that. But what we've realized is, because of the experience of an entrepreneur A or B who got that.
So basically, word of mouth, they'll go and tell others.
They recommend and refer because of the results. And we are very proud because we have nothing to hide. We can proudly say, you know what, go ask this entrepreneur. Some entrepreneurs, some come and say, okay, if you reach out to somebody who doesn't has not seen, or so what have you done, which entrepreneur, just say, you know what, go, we can give you some contacts, just engage them, let them tell you from their angle how their journey has been and what they are benefiting, and that will give you an opportunity to actually see what we can actually do. And to us, that has been, should I say, our story.
Your story.
Yes.
Wow. So, Roy, listening to you gives us some sort of insight to the journey that Imuka takes the entrepreneur through to get them from a place of ideation all the way to being able to scale their business idea. So the question that now I have for you is, what are those, even for our viewers, I'm sure they're wondering, what are those key things that an entrepreneur needs, or a startup need, to be able to come from that place to the place of where now they're able to scale, grow, and impact lives and communities?
All right. So I will take it from the point that because as Imuka, we support more of early stage and not necessarily idea stage. And what we focus on is they have to look at the idea. Does it have market? Okay, so market is key. The management, the team behind that is driving where they're trying to go. Is the team capable? Okay. Do they have the documentation that reflect where they're trying to go? And when I look at the idea, I'm also looking at the momentum. What is the growth momentum that you're looking at going? So that is critical for a business when they are thinking of moving from one level to another.
Yes.
Then when it comes to financing, you'll notice one of the common things I keep on challenging entrepreneurs is our decisions. For example, you'll find somebody secures financing, and sometimes he feels like you need to build a whole team at once. There are some things you can outsource. So some of these decisions between insourcing versus outsourcing, what are things that you critically need as a core and what can you outsource? Yes. There are instances you want to set up or establish, expand, and you feel you need to invest, but there could be an opportunity to acquire. You notice we always want to create. I need land, you want to buy.
Yes.
So instead of saying, I want to buy, can you lease first and validate the model before you go into say buy? Because from leasing, you can actually go on a lease to own model and eventually buy. So decisions like insourcing, outsourcing, investment versus acquisition, buying versus leasing is usually something that entrepreneurs sometimes make wrong decisions and sink money instead of using money to actually make your money. Then when it comes to say the growth, the mindset of starting a business, when it comes to scaling, the mindset needs a bit to change. When you are starting, you are working in the business, inside the business. You're involved, you're probably the administrator, the financial, when it comes to scaling, the ball sort of changes. You are now working on the business. So for you to work on the business, that means there needs to be a team.
Yes.
And you'll find when you're working on the business, your role is more of thinking and empowering
and strategizing
than doing.
Yes.
So you need to have a good quality team that you can work with towards your vision, and you need to trust. Usually when you are doing your business, you always trust that you are the best at what you do. But you see, when you are the best at what you do, it denies you the opportunity to actually help others do. And this principle is even in the Bible, where I say, you know what, you have to, when you have a fruit, you need to be fruitful. It's actually, I think, the first commandment God gave us is be fruitful and multiply. So being fruitful is you have this brilliant idea of opportunity, and now you are multiplying. Multiplying, you have to pass this
the skills,
the skills on, so that the impact is greater. But as you replicate, you actually generate the kind of resources and wealth, but you also impart positively. So that is something that entrepreneurs need to pay attention to. Then, when you have a team, you can delegate. Where it's possible, you can actually automate, because technology is a necessity.
Now it's nowadays available.
And have the systems and controls in place. So if an entrepreneur can be able to pay attention to some of these things, certainly they'll be able to move in the right direction. So the mindset you notice in most of these things, the way you think needs to be a bit different. But it doesn't come in a day. Even to us as an organization, as we support, it's actually something we also
working on.
As Imuka, because our vision is also to scale and impart to over 1 million entrepreneurs, not only in Uganda but in Africa and developing countries. That means we need to be able to standardize a model and process to be able to actually pass this model out, so that the impact can be greater, but also we can help more communities develop solutions that are scalable, impactful, and more jobs are created.
Great. So if you're a startup out there and you need a hands-on approach to be able to grow your business and scale accordingly, then Imuka Access is the place to go to. So where can they find you? How can they reach you? And what does it take for them to be able to be part of the programs?
All right. So as Imuka Access, we target businesses that have already started, that means they're generating revenue. They have growth and impact potential. They know where they are going. But obviously they need to figure out, they need to organize themselves, they need to understand. So these are the kind of businesses we are targeting. And if that is you, then when you come to Imuka, you're in the right place. So Imuka exists both physically and virtually. So virtually you can get us, you can access us at Imuka. Our website is imuka.co, where somebody can be able to access and see the programs that we have for the year and what is running. But also we are sharing opportunities. Also recently have a collaboration that will also allow entrepreneurs to trade amongst each other, because from the regional engagements,
that's a very good one.
We noticed that now the entrepreneurs in the East, West are trying to either trade amongst each other or create more synergies and markets that we found.
That's greght.
That to be interesting. So it's something that we're also helping. Like, we want to help them achieve the best possible that they can achieve. Physically we are located at Makerere University, the Food Technology Business Incubation Center, where we also support the entrepreneurs who are adding value in partnership with Makerere University School of Food and Nutrition.
Okay, and just before we go out, is Imuka specifically, because you said you're technology driven, so do you only focus on startups that are technology driven, or do you attract, or are they all welcome?
So our model is technology driven,
right?
Okay, and that is the direction, because for us to achieve whatever we desire to achieve in terms of impact and the support at scale, then that has to be the way. But the enterprises that we support, we are fairly multi-sectoral, but by virtue of most of the entrepreneurs we supported are in agriculture, agribusiness, agro-processing, green businesses, health, education, manufacturing. Most of them seem to be that round. But our niche is, as I said, it's not the sector, though we avoid businesses that have a negative, say gambling, say alcohol. We try and we avoid that because it has a negative. We want to be part of positive value on the community. I think that would be the only but in terms of strategy and that is our niche.
All right. Thank you, Roy, so much for being part of our session today and for sharing what Imuka does in detail. And I believe that with this detail, people will be able to not only access what Imuka does, but also receive the required help they need to be able to grow their businesses and scale and also impact their communities. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for keeping it locked right here on DM Live TV. I'm your show host, Thomas Masiga. Till next time, see you then. Thank you for watching this episode on DM Live TV. I hope that you have learned quite a number of things that could help you in your startup to grow and scale. Keep it locked right here on DM Live TV. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share.